Class action is unnecessary. What else do you want me to say? Alright, I guess it's only fair I explain why it's unnecessary. So let's recap Corporate Clash's previous updates real quick. The game launched in 2018, and the developers promised hard mode bosses in the future. Pretty much nothing important happened in 2019. In 2020, 1.1 launched and the CLO was released. In 2021, 1.2 released and brought the Overclocked CLO, as well as ruined a lot of major aspects of the game. You with me so far? In 2022, Hires and Heroes released and a bunch of managers were added, which have next to nothing to do with the department bosses. In 2023, they released another manager, the High Roller. In 2024, the BoardBot department was thrown away. They also gave the CFO and CEO new head models, but no new overclocked bosses though. In 2025 they announced the Overclocked CLO class action. So, rather than work on an overclocked boss for the other bosses, they essentially decided to make an overclocked CLO. It's like, why? Now, to give Clash credit where credit is due, adding an optional fight where you are fighting the entire litigation team at once is not a bad idea. It is very reminiscent of boss rematches in Wizard 101, where they have you fight multiple bosses at once, and they gain new cheat. The problem is though, you still have to fight the CLO afterward, and the final round is hardly any different. She only gains one additional attack, and it's a variant of the specialist's paper attack, but it involves a book. Real, creative. But hey, it's not so bad. After beating a class action you get 30 cease and desist, 7 unites, and 1000 department experience. So, the same thing as a regular OCLO? And you know what makes it even better is when Gears and Gizmos releases, you lose all your rewards. Well, okay, I can't say that with certainty anymore, since apparently GAG is no longer gonna be a full game revamp. But considering that update is still happening at all, things are only gonna get worse. Anyway, class action will also have a loot drop. Whether it is guaranteed or not is beyond me, but it won't make up for the dumpster fire that the overhyped CLO trash action will truly be. And yes, they did get rid of the first battle round entirely, so it won't take as long, but you know what they say. That's not gonna fix anything! Truthfully, class action is nothing more than a desperate attempt by the Corporate Clash crew to slow the death of their game. Their desperation blinds them, as they could have easily worked on another overclocked boss, such as the VP or CEO. All they'd have to do is redo another COG department, give them specialists, and add a new team of 4 managers, and make a harder version of the final round of said boss. They proved it was possible, albeit terribly, with the OCLO. They can do it again with the other bosses. All this time making class action, all this time spent on redoing the Lawbot's animations and giving them 400% faces, all this time working on anything but another overclocked boss and or BoardBot HQ even, could be time spent redoing another COG department.
They don't even have to redo the HQ. It's already there and fine as is.
Even if they're using textures that don't match the Clash areas of the game, it should be so easy to work on another overclocked boss, and instead, they're just lazily working on another CLO, contributing to the Lawbot Pandering even harder. And no, just because BoardBot HQ music was supposedly used in 2024's C.O.O. does not mean they are actively working on BoardBot HQ as we speak. 1.1 had its soundtrack composed in 2018, 2 years before the new Lawbot HQ even released, before even Break the Law soundtrack was composed. So them having soundtracks made means absolutely nothing, especially if they end up scrapping it, replacing it, or removing the thing from the game where it played in to begin with. Speaking of which, where's the C.O.O. Clash? It's been almost 3 months since April 1st, and you still haven't delivered the C.O.O. this year. Unless you're planning some massive cinematic cutscene for this, There is no excuse for taking this long to deliver what was promised to release for April. It cannot be that hard to program lines of dialogue. That's all the C.O.O. ever was, and it's proven time and time again to be the only good thing about this massively declining game filled with wasted potential, broken mechanics, and the complete hogwash of throwing out all your ideas in favor of inferior ideas that only harm the game more than it does help the game.
And for the record, I don't like the OCLO. I always detested it for its length, artificial difficulty, and terrible ending. I don't think an overclocked CFO would be any better. But it's still something you have promised. It has been almost 6 years since 1.1 released, and you still have not revamped the sellbots, cashbots, or bossbot. And don't get me started on what happened to the boardbots. You could at least be delivering what your fans wanted the most. Toontown Rewritten as we speak are working on the neighborhood of Clear Coasts, and finally bringing closure to the cloud. What have you done the past 5 years other than defile your legacy and continue to waste the hard work of your hard-working staff members, which I must remind you 90% of your team left after 1.3.
Why waste all this potential on a desperate grab to keep your game relevant that nobody wanted, nobody asked for, and provides nothing new to the table other than a measly accessory drop that says, "I survived the OCLO class action and all I got was a stupid hat." There just is no excuse for class action, and if you knew what was best for corporate clash, you would scrap this boss entirely and start working on the content you promised for years and still have yet to deliver. Face it, corporate clash, you guys are failing. Maybe you should have listened to the criticisms we gave during 1.2, rather than just blindly buff content and make stupid changes that never needed to happen or make the game any fun like it used to be back in 2018 to 2020. Give it some thought, Clash.